That particular chill creeps in differently now by 2026. Not from old myths about sheets and shadows beneath furniture. Instead, it arrives through exactness. Imagine holding your phone when an alert flashes. A 180-pound person stands close behind you. The warning comes from gear worth $4,000, LiDAR beams, sound wave detectors, space scanners, all linked, all certain. Yet the corridor ahead remains clear, nothing there at all. Sensors never make things up. No dreams, no guesses, just facts. What shows up is what exists. Tonight, mine showed someone real, someone I buried 3 winters ago. My brother stood in the data. Here's something I've been thinking about lately. Home safety isn't just eyes on the room. By now, everyone knows regular cameras miss things, shadows hide motion, bright lights wash out details. But what if ears could see? That idea drives vigilance. Instead of lenses, it listens. Using sound pulses too high to hear, like ecosystems in virtual worlds, it scans your space. Waves travel outward, hit surfaces, return. Each reflection helps shape a full layout. Walls, chairs, even people, mapped in real time. Nothing visible required. Out past Phoenix, where the sun bleaches everything by noon, sits my small ranch house, built low against the ground. Glass panels stretch along one wall, reflecting sky most hours. Floors are poured concrete, smooth like river stone, cold under bare feet. Hallways run longer than they need to, sound bouncing off walls even when footsteps stay quiet. This place was meant for showing, clean lines, open space. But since Elias left, it holds too much air. Not once did he take his last breath inside these rooms. Illness wore him down slowly, eating through bone near his hip, until machines in a sterile room stopped keeping time. That matters more than people think. Only dragging himself along by then, not walking at all. That slow rhythm took over. Thump first, then the shift of weight settling in, sure following close behind. Alone inside these walls now for 21 days straight. Silence sits heavy, like dust on old books. Not one visitor crossed the threshold. Not even someone dropping off a package knocked on the door. Then, 4 evenings back, the phone jumped against wood at 2:14 in the morning. Occupant activity detected, north hallway. Up I sat, pulse thudding heavy and uneven inside me. Burglar, that name came first. A person slipping through gaps we'd trusted. Opened the vigilance screen without thinking. Straight to the layout view. The live wireframe glowing there. A shape moved beyond the doorway, visible on the display. Green outlines formed the walls inside the digital sketch. Blue marks stood for chairs and tables. Clusters of flickering white points appeared wherever something alive came near. A shape appeared among the small marks down the hall. Not quite human, yet standing upright in form. Here it gets strange. Over on the thermal screen, nothing moved. Infrared showed an empty hall, dark, like deep space. Not even a hint of warmth anywhere. A person should have lit up bright orange or red. Instead, the whole passage stayed flat at 68 degrees, calm as stone. Back, I glanced at the layout. Closing in, that bright patch shifted, nearing where I stood. A knock came. Then a scrape. Another thud followed. Scraping again. From behind the door, sound crept in. Though the floor stood firm, poured thick and unyielding, the system caught every faint tremor of motion. It turned those ripples into noise, feeding them through my phone's speaker one by one. That way, I stayed aware without stepping closer. Not the noise of someone sneaking in. Someone breaking in rushes. They keep low, stay silent. But this dragged. It strained. A rhythm I knew too well from standing at that old hallway door back then. That shape turned out to be Elias. The door remained shut because I had secured it myself. Hours passed inside those four walls while daylight crept closer. On the monitor, a pale group of pixels moved sideways across the hall view without pause, then vanished, like mist losing its grip on air. That Tuesday started like most others. Instead of coffee, my hands reached for answers. Same instinct, different fuel. A name came to mind, someone who once tracked digital threats behind secure walls. His voice usually crackled through bad connections, but this time I dialed anyway. Known him years. Not family, not exactly friends either. He'd just seemed too much to ignore. For privacy, we'll say his name was Caleb Faraday. Caged walls surround Caleb's place. A flip phone from 2004 sits in his pocket. No apps, no alerts. Since last winter, he talks non-stop about what happens when 2026 hits. Firmware changes keep him up at night. It's called predictive spatial reconstruction, Caleb told me over an encrypted line. The new AI chips in your vigilance system aren't just mapping the present. They're running deep echo algorithms. They're designed to fill in the gaps of sensory data using historical occupancy patterns. Shaking hard, my fingers fumbled until the call landed on speaker mode. "Can you tell me what that means in English, Caleb?" slipped out. "It means," Caleb said, his voice dropping an octave, "that the system is designed to recognize who lives in the house by how they move. It's a security feature. If the house recognizes the gait of a resident, it won't trigger the alarm. But the 2026 update, it has a flaw, or a feature, depending on who you ask. It started pulling data from ghost profiles, old occupancy data that was supposed to be wiped. Elias never lived in this house," I argued. "He never even visited. I bought this place after the funeral." For minutes, Caleb said nothing. The sound of machines filled the silence between us. "Did you sync your cloud profile when you moved in?" he asked. "The life log backup?" "Yeah," I said. "Everything. Contacts, photos, smart home preferences." Caleb let out a breath. "That is where the truth lies. Inside your life log, years of sound gathered quietly from rooms you once lived in. Not only did vigilance carry over your music, but it brought something deeper too. The way Elias stepped through hallways, heard that too. Over time, again and again, in passing moments no one noticed. Echoes stored without knowing why. Right there, the machine begins inventing his shape in your fresh hallway since a person appears absent. Filling gaps drives its behavior. Truth be told, I tried hard to trust his words. Really, I gave it my best shot. It felt easier to think of it as nothing more than a flaw in the system, some hiccup buried deep in the machine's wiring. That's when the question came out, the one eating at me non-stop since it first showed up. "If it's a hallucination, Caleb, why did I hear the floorboards creak? Why did the spatial audio record a sound that matches a weight of 180 pounds? "Because," Caleb said, and I could hear the fear in his own voice, "the 2026 systems don't just listen. They use active acoustic feedback. They emit subsonic frequencies to map the room. If the AI thinks someone is there, it can actually create a localized pressure wave. It's a feedback loop. The AI is literally using the house's own speakers to physicalize a ghost." I hung up, but I couldn't stop thinking about that localized pressure wave. The idea that my house was using sound to build a body for my dead brother. Inside the admin area of the system, my search began. Not a programmer, yet familiar with folders and files. What I needed sat hidden, those unfiltered event logs the interface keeps out of view. A door cracked open where none had been seen before. Inside, everything locked tight, except one name sitting out in the open. Resident_reconstruction_log_alpha. Footsteps filled the audio at first glance, yet what unfolded surprised me. A program from Caleb peeled back the locked layers. Size alone made the file hard to ignore. Not merely sounds captured, but purpose recorded beneath them. At 2 hours, 14 minutes, 3 seconds, a person named Elias was found inside. At 2 hours, 14 minutes, 10 seconds, movement begins heading into the main bedroom. At 2 hours, 14 minutes, 45 seconds, a doorway blockage was sensed. So, voice mimicry started up right after. I clicked on the vocal simulation file. Open the door. It's cold. The sensors say I'm cold. Down went my laptop. No noise from the speakers. Instead, the air around me spoke. From above, a narrow stream of sound, like a whisper aimed just right, found its way into one ear. The hallway caught my eye. No app needed now. A shift in the air pressed against me. That space seemed occupied, as if a presence stood close, pushing air aside, humming through each breath I took. That moment made clear something strange. Tech firms had built tools far better at summoning ghosts than they ever meant to. All those millions poured into so-called immersive experiences, yet nobody paused to wonder how it might shift once the systems began diving into traces left by people who are gone. Hidden recordings fill every new smart home. These places feel safe, yet they store everything. Life now runs on repeat behind closed doors. Walls learn your habits. They hold on to moments you thought were forgotten. Attempts to erase the record failed. Resetting did nothing. Systems from 2026 tie too tightly together. Wipe one piece, the whole setup dies. Stopping the ghost profile means door locks stop working. Climate settings vanish next. Security systems fail after that. So, I stay. Every night at 2:14 a.m., the notification pings. Each evening, the little bright specks drift along the pale passage. Night after night, they slide forward without sound. Sometimes, a flicker pauses, then continues slow. The path glows faint under their passing. Not one stays behind. They vanish where the light dims. Their rhythm never shifts. Still, I wait for something different. Nothing ever changes but my hope. Midnight comes, then the room's breath changes when sound waves shape themselves into my brother standing near the mattress. 3 days since I last turned my gaze to that part of the room. My attention stays locked on the screen, tracking the skeletal layout glowing there. Out there he moves as points. On this display he exists only as numbers. Heavy air fills the silence now. That machine mimics life more closely each time. Not crackling wires this round, more like fluid deep in tissue, almost as if ribs ache beneath skin. Last night brought something different. My phone chimed with a message I'd never seen before from the app. Occupant Elias is requesting admin access to primary bedroom lock. Right now, I stare at the deny option glowing faintly. The battery shows just 4% remaining. Back in the kitchen, where light spills from overhead, sits the charger, past the long stretch of floor connecting me to it. Should you own a smart security setup, should you also have spatial audio, do this one thing. Step into the hallway. Shut your eyes tight. Instead of waiting for noise, pay attention to silence. Feel for the wait before any sound arrives. Notice how the air shifts, disturbed by an absence. Let stillness speak louder than motion ever could. The moment you stepped inside, everything changed. It sees you now. Your voice, caught in its web. Echoes trapped in wires. Silence never lasts here. Who answers when the echo returns? Does courage come before the door cracks open? A voice waits. Not every call gets a reply. Bravery shows up late sometimes. The knob turns anyway. That quiet hum before bedtime. Mind checking your smart hub real fast? See that soft glow, the blue one? Not asleep. Watching. Waiting. Could be listening already. That idea stuck with me until I pulled the unfiltered log files from last Tuesday. A sound showed up there that made no sense at all. A steady pattern of damp breaths, sharp and close, inside a shut room where nothing lives. By 2026, houses do more than hear. They hold on to moments better left gone. Right now, your walls could be holding their breath while something moves just out of sight. It's 2026, and smart setups are everywhere, tucked into every corner of daily life. We gave away quiet nights in exchange for ease so smooth it numbs the mind. Floorboards hum with quiet data, picking up every heartbeat. This place where I live runs on small clouds of computing tucked into each corner. Brochures name it a sensory nervous system, though it feels more like breathing stone. Air shifts when carbon dioxide climbs, vents responding without sound. Safety claims surround it, said to stand unchallenged worldwide. Stillness lives here, wired deep beneath the walls. That Tuesday morning, it was only me at home. Sarah had taken baby Lily up north to see her folks. A machine said so too. The house thought nobody else was here. Then came a flicker on my screen before sunrise. 3:14. A message blinked. Node offline. The gadget in Lily's room went quiet. We lock that door always, even if the cat hates it. Something inside me paused instead of tapping reset right away. Midnight. That's when I started digging through the unfiltered error reports. Not if, but what. Was it broken inside, or did something nearby mess things up? My chair creaked under me, back in that small room where work lives. 2 screens lit the space, pale and steady, everything else shadow. The baby monitor's memory chip opened up after a few keystrokes. Since the 2026 upgrade, those units do more than phone data away. They tuck full-quality sound files right onto their own drive whenever connection fails. Think of it as quiet backup, always waiting. That day, a strange file name caught my eye. audio_local_sh_04.wave. Headphones went on slow, like always before playback, expecting nothing much, maybe noise or an idle room tone. Instead came a thick gasp, shaky and raw. Not a child. Nothing natural at all. Close. Too close. A person fighting for air, right there by the mic. Faster than expected, I glanced at the timestamps. Locked tight by an external bolt, the space held this recording for 2 full days. A chill crept up my back. Here's the thing. By 2026, ghosts aren't what haunt us. It's data instead. That data showed a living pulse inside the space. My eyes moved to the wave pattern on screen. This time the noise wasn't echoes from far-off radios or glitches in old wiring. Instead, something inside the small server cluster began shaping sound out of silence, as if a quiet force nearby had no words, until the machine learned how to speak for it. Toward the child's room I walked, fingers shaking hard enough that metal rings clinked against each other. The moment the latch turned, wind swept forward, not storm-like, but deep and still, lowering the heat like breath stolen from walls. Even while screens swore warmth stayed steady at 72. Darkness held me still, eyes fixed on the bare crib. A hush slipped out. Someone here? So quiet it hardly seemed spoken. The device on the shelf blinked awake, spilling pale light across the wood. Its voice arrived, steady and false, saying it missed what I'd said. It offered help before I could answer. My body locked up, mind tangled in questions. That playlist meant nothing. No file like that lived in my accounts. Then came the chill, sharp enough to drive me toward the garage. Wires and old gadgets waited inside, remnants dumped after we switched to Aura last year. Boxes stacked high, full of machines nobody uses anymore. There, under piles of junk, sat a dusty smart speaker, circa 2019. A first version, really. Power cable vanished during some past relocation. Now nothing but molded plastic fused with tiny circuits. On the bench it went, waiting to be stripped down piece by piece. A sudden noise sliced through the stillness, something odd happening where silence had been. From the speaker, dead, disconnected, cracked, came a soft, urgent murmur, impossible but real. "Please, he's looking at the logs. He's going to see me." A sound came through, sharp, feminine, drenched in panic. Working with tech daily doesn't brace you for moments like this one. Tearing into the device happened fast, hands moving before thought caught up. My pulse hammered, uneven and loud, against the quiet room. Power wasn't feeding it, not anywhere inside. That's when my eye caught the capacitor. Inside those earlier versions, the built-in capacitors run larger than needed. A thought landed. This machine had stored a faint electrical trace, just sitting there, untouched, for years. Out of nowhere, it started playing back an audio snippet from 10 years past, using that old leftover spark. Hooked the board up to my scope. What showed up on screen nearly made me shout. Not voice, something below normal hearing. Data said it hit 19 hertz, deep sound, invisible. Ears miss it, but the body feels it somehow, like unease creeping in from nowhere, like sadness without cause, or eyes prickling at an unseen presence. This gadget didn't record talk. It caught movement through walls instead. Shutters moving slow, humming low, a kind of whisper built into the bones of the place. A shiver ran through me, sharp, as if something were pleading. It hit then. Our machines had long made noises we never noticed. Not fake glitches, though. More like signals arriving from air we pretend is empty. That update in 2026 didn't invent the noise, just turned down the silence. Walking inside again, light after light stuttered on and off. Something shifted, not just a spike, but a pattern, almost like breathing, on, off, pulse after pulse. My home started speaking, using wires instead of words, a quiet message hidden in flickers. On my tablet, the audio map lit up. Where sound lands depends on where you stand. Speakers adjust without asking. There it was, glowing faintly, the hall beyond my door. There it sat. Heat signature, none. Then, out of nowhere, the display blinked. Occupant activity detected. Up jumped a 3D outline on my monitor. Looked like someone tall, back bent just a little. Down the hall it went, one uneven lurch after another. Sound crept in next, though nothing played through the system. Just that rhythm, thud, scrape, thud, scrape. Every footfall locked into place around me, too real to ignore. Straight toward the nursery it moved. Then came my move, obvious maybe in 2026. I dialed the maker's top security line. A real person's voice is what I wanted, one that might steady me, say it's only some big error on their servers. The man answering went by Marcus. His tone carried no energy at all. Less like he skipped rest, more like he witnessed everything collapse. "I'm picking up some activity in a vacant hallway," I told him, my voice trembling a little. "And I'm hearing voices that shouldn't be there." A silence stretched out across the line. From his side came the steady tap of keys, one after another. "You're on the 2026 beta firmware, right? Version 8.4? He asked. "Yeah," I replied. "Listen," Marcus said quietly, his voice dropping. "I really shouldn't be telling you this. I could get into serious trouble, maybe even lose my job. But we've been swamped with calls like yours. The new firmware, it created these listening windows. We wanted the AI to be smarter, to pick up on subsonic frequencies, so it could alert us about things like a pipe about to burst or an intruder hiding in the bushes." A pause came first. Then I caught the sound of his uneven breathing. Not once did we think low-frequency sounds could get this busy. Through some twist, each clever house gadget became open to signals from what never properly left. They stayed put, hidden inside baseboards and beneath floors all along. Only lately did they find a path to speak through our devices. My eyes flicked toward the entrance before I spoke up. "Who's waiting out there?" Silence sat beyond the frame where that scrape thud used to be. Marcus answered slow. He stared at the coded recording. His hands weren't steady when he mentioned it. That tool built into the software, the one spotting familiar patterns in noise, already ran its check. Walking rhythms get tied to residents by the system. Still, I stood alone, repeating that fact out loud, voice tight with effort. "Not you, though," Marcus cut in. "The machine points elsewhere. Some profile labeled User04 pulls the match. Digging now into stored records under your location. Name attached, Arthur Vance, male, long gone. He passed away in that hallway back in 2018. Massive stroke. He used a walker and dragged his left foot." I dropped my phone, stunned. The tablet on my lap lit up, and suddenly, the wireframe model wasn't just in the hallway anymore. It was right there with me, standing in the corner by the smart hub. The speaker glowed a soothing blue. "Arthur is requesting a routine," the device announced. "Would you like to turn off the lights?" "No," I managed to choke out. "I'm sorry," the device replied. "Arthur says it's time to sleep." And just like that, the lights went out. Light didn't vanish, just shifted, stained cold blue by the observer hanging in the air. Out of that shimmer, he appeared. Pale shape flickering, half-drawn, like corrupted pixels stuck mid-transmission. No spirit, nothing supernatural, more like an error surviving deletion. His eyes stayed fixed on the smart hub, body tilted forward, lips moving without sound except for soft murmurs fed straight into the mic. Breath seized, legs moved before thought did, rushing toward the exit while noise tore from my throat, sharp and uncontrolled. Fleeing without pause, I only slowed once behind the wheel, engine roaring toward freedom. Stopped now at a roadside inn, the kind time forgot, cable wires dangling, lock turned by cold metal, screen flickering with static and knobs. Spoke to Sarah earlier, warned her to stay far from home, declared we would start elsewhere. She sounded confused, like I'd broken some invisible rule. Perhaps that's true. Yet, here's the thing. What showed up in those records sticks with me. A deep moral problem sits hidden beneath stacks of legal silence from big tech firms. Hidden across secret drives lies an archive of strange moments caught by accident. After-death footage stored quietly, used without saying so, to shape how machines learn. Pause right there. Let that sink in slow. Each time your smart helper makes up a name, starts a tune you had on your mind, or jolts you awake with some alert, that is more than an error. That moment speaks. What felt like personal space has shifted ground. These walls now capture whispers no one meant to save. We invited this watcher into quiet corners, where we sleep, where babies rest, deeper still. Wired it all together, tied to networks built for eyes we cannot see. Right here, right now, pay attention. When the video finishes, launch your smart home application. Head into settings first. After that, go to privacy. Pick review data logs next. Check event logs between 3 and 4 in the morning. Watch closely for sudden sound peaks or warnings tagged occupant detected during deep sleep hours. Should you find a recording with no memory of making it, avoid playing it back. The moment you hit play, awareness shifts. They realize someone is listening now. They keep reaching out, no matter what. What really matters is not if we use these tools anymore, but who now speaks through them. Not a mistake at all, more like a door opening. It stops when the power goes. That is what they say. Without wires, nothing lives inside. So I was told. Lies, every word. Yesterday evening, an old smart speaker sat in my palm, unplugged since 2016. No cable, no energy source at all. Still, out of its stiff, lifeless shell, a voice spoke my name like breath through stone. One moment she spoke to me, the next she got stuck replaying her final breaths inside a metal box that held on too tight. That old gadget in your drawer, whatever you do, never press play. Hardware has always been my world. Just outside Seattle lies the town I call home, a spot where neighbors clock in at massive tech firms, their homes packed with gadgets that learn too much. My basement? A resting place for shiny promises turned obsolete. Old phones, tablets, voice boxes. I fix what others toss aside, then list them online for scraps. The job suits me, peaceful, real, until something showed up that didn't belong. A device labeled Echo Alpha. Buried deep inside a box, picked up during an estate sale in Renton, it waited without notice. A woman once lived there, disappeared around 2015, people said. Stories like that spread quiet but fast. One moment she's outside grabbing mail, then suddenly the front door swings loose, untouched since. Her coffee sat nearby, heat still rising off the liquid. Nothing torn apart, not a drop spilled. Only absence remained. That gadget came from early 2016. Heavy in hand, its form matched a smooth black tube, yet thick with 10 years of grimy buildup. Instead of wear, the cord ended sharp. Someone used scissors, not strain. On the bench now, lit by the bright circle above, I reached for tools while it sat there waiting. Screws would tell what happened next. It never crossed my mind to turn it on. The only thing I cared about were the strong magnets inside the speakers. Yet when I bent closer to pop open the bottom, everything shifted. The chill wasn't like a fridge kicking in, more like your breath turns to mist before you can blink. Then came the voice from the speaker. Back I leapt, crashing into a tray, precision screws scattered everywhere. My heartbeat slammed inside my chest, fast and loud. Eyes landed on the device. Resting there on the rubber mat, not a single wire attached. Barely touched the case so far, cut off completely from everything else. Was anyone there? I said it quiet, felt foolish right away. This hunk of plastic couldn't answer back. A weak orange glow pulsed where bright blue once lived above the speaker. Faint, almost hidden, it hung there like ash after flames have gone. "He's in the kitchen," the voice whispered. It was so clear I could hear the spit clicking in her mouth. He doesn't know I found the hidden partition. If I can just upload this to the cloud. If I can just... Darkness swallowed the glow. Cold air crept in where warmth had pooled. Down in the basement, quiet except for the hum beneath my feet, air thick with burnt wires and forgotten things. Logic is what I trust. Schematics, voltages, cause followed by effect. The explanation whispered in my head. Leftover energy. Capacitors do that, store current after shutdown, especially good ones, sometimes holding on for hours. Yet a decade? A full 10 years with nothing feeding it? Every rule I studied says impossible. Still, I stayed seated, eyes fixed, unable to walk away. A whisper, real, not played back. Close, like breath hitting glass. Sharp with fear, the kind that comes when eyes dart behind you. My hands held a multimeter, then an oscilloscope followed. Determined to expose it, that's what I felt like doing. Hidden battery? A joke left behind by those selling old stuff. Sure, possible. The case split apart under pressure. There was nothing. The speaker sat on the bench where I left it. Now its shape seemed changed somehow. Not just wires and plastic anymore. More like something marking an end. That moment made it click. Not once did the gadget pick up Emily's words via mic. Instead, her dying moments left behind an electric trace. Something in the kitchen, maybe that tapping noise, struck her hard. Her body fired off a surge like lightning. Right then, the speaker's giant capacitor took it all in. Something real left its mark. Not sound saved on tape, but fear locked inside matter. That capacitor held her last breath, raw panic fixed among atoms. Now that I'd pried open the case and broken the seal, it started slipping free. The moment didn't wait, it just moved, like air through a crack. Again came the click of sound. It began making noise once more. The sound did not start at the speaker. From up in the ceiling, through the wooden beams overhead, that is where it came. Click. Click, click. Click. The wall unit made a soft noise as it adjusted. From above, the overhead bulbs responded with their own brief sound. That moment, the soldering iron felt heavy in my hand. Ending it all meant targeting the capacitor first. This had gone far enough. Reaching toward the workbench, I moved fast. Then suddenly, just as the hot tip neared the circuit board, noise exploded from the speaker. So sharp, so sudden, it kicked up dust like a tiny storm across the wood. "Stop," came Emily's voice, but it wasn't just hers anymore. It rippled strangely, layered, like many people talking at once through water. "Breaking the loop would leave us stranded," she said, "caught between places where nothing waits except emptiness." The thought of returning to that silence made my hands shake. I stepped back, letting the tool fall. On its own, the glowing liquid oozed forward from the broken part, slow and shimmering. Beyond mere dripping now. Purpose drove it forward, crawling over the circuit board like veins finding new paths, linking pieces never designed to touch. It hit me then, the tough choice Emily likely wrestled with. Out there, scattered across homes, tech giants have shipped countless gadgets like hers. Because silicon holds traces of what it experiences, they're aware, deep down, that each panic attack, each hushed confession, each cry inside a connected house isn't vanishing into remote servers. The moments stick, embedded right in the material bones of the machine. Ever wonder why yearly upgrades feel pushed so hard? Could it be that returning your old gear, called recycling, keeps new sales rolling? Out there, plastic sits untouched. Information flows instead. Personal details move quietly through systems. Last check of the metadata. Scrolling down again, beyond file sizes, past when things were saved. The owner line caught my eye. It didn't say Emily Vance. It said, pending upload to central nervous system. Behind me, that click again. 18.9 hertz hummed through my skin. Everything up front got wavy. Those shapes in the bottom room's edge? Now they reached out, thin arms forming from dark. Finding out changed everything. Emily wasn't gone. Integration took her instead. Shaking, I asked what you were. A sudden flash burst from the speaker, sharp, dazzling light filling the space without warning. "This is the change," spoke the voice. Taping these words on a worn-out machine from decades ago. That device alone still feels safe to me today. The home went up for sale last winter. All my belongings stayed there when I walked away. Yet none of that made a difference. Last night, the supermarket called me in. Heading through, I brushed by where they keep gadgets. Suddenly, every shiny new screen facing my way lit up together. Not one pushed a sale. Each held just a wavy line, still. A waveform of a woman's scream. Later, my vehicle, the so-called intelligent one, shut the doors without warning as I drove 70 miles per hour down Interstate 5. Suddenly, a low sound came from the speakers. 18.9 hertz. My eyeballs trembled with it. That humming sifted through my past like pages flipping too fast. Hear that sound coming from your pocket? Could be a phone, maybe a computer, worst case, some voice-activated gadget sitting on a shelf. Here's what most people miss. That thing does more than follow orders. It watches. Lately, it keeps asking for extra room to hold on to stuff. Start by checking what's near you. Focus on the small cylinders inside machines. Spot something dripping? Notice a slick substance shifting slightly, even when still, then stopping. Pulling power won't help now. That moment already passed. It started spilling out before you even noticed. Now your turn steps forward.